You're listening to the Living Beyond Broken podcast. If your life or the life of a loved one has been touched by divorce, mistreatment, addiction, or abuse, you may feel broken, even broken beyond repair. Carolyn Calton, a Christ-centered, self-worth, and relationship revitalization educator and coach, will help you find purpose as today's changemaker, chain breaker, so you can turn stress, anxious thinking, anger, and dysfunction to hope, direction, happiness, and peace. Now, here's your host, Carolyn Calton.
Greetings. This week is part 2 of our 3-part series on codependence, The Walking Wounded. We're going to be talking about healing heartache and family lines. In codependent relationships, people put aside their own vital self-care and innate well-being and values to maintain a relationship with another person. They often feed off the neediness of another or devote all their life's time and attention to them. As a reminder from part 1, codependence is not the same as becoming one in purpose, like in a healthy, harmonious relationship where two people interrelate with each other without losing their sense of individual gifts, strengths, and identity, and without compromising their values. I spoke about how most professionals agree that codependency is about the loss of selfhood. John Bradshaw states that, quote, codependency is a condition wherein one has no inner life. Happiness is on the outside. Good feelings and self-validation lie on the outside. Paya Melody's definition of codependency is a state of dis-ease whereby the authentic self is unknown or kept hidden, so that a sense of self, of mattering, of esteem, and connectedness to others is distorted, creating pain and distorted relationships, end quote. Think about it. If we keep looking outside ourselves to feel like we matter, we face an impossible task and are constantly left unsatisfied since we don't control, but only influence the feelings of others. I speak more about this in my book, 3 Stepping Stones to Feel Better About Yourself. Codependency can leave men and women feeling like the walking wounded, because in codependent relationships, people, including couples, who struggle with codependency often try to control each other to get what they want. Control is a form of force. Therefore, it does not suit our natural, intuitive desires to bond and connect safely and securely with other individuals. Patterns of manipulation develop, and manipulation is a disguised form of force. Safe, secure bonding promotes the happiness and well-being of both people in the relationship. The force and control found within codependent relationships do not achieve that kind of safety and security. It's a false bond that can seem like true connection. In order to heal heartache in family lines, we must first understand the cause and heal with God's help from the inside out. There can be many causes for the heartache, yet in this series of 3 messages, we're continuing our discussion of one of those causes, namely codependence. John Bradshaw, in his book Homecoming, points out, quote, to be codependent is to be out of touch with one's feelings, needs, and desires. And he says, codependence is fostered in unhealthy family systems, end quote. Codependence fosters the loss of self-identity. As you explore codependency, you will notice that freedom from destructive, dead-end generational patterns and beliefs like codependence, makes room for healthy, productive, life-changing progress. The way is not always easy, but it is possible. Codependence should be distinguished as different from the interdependence found in healthy relationships. It's helpful to understand the following terms and meanings of each: dependent, independent, interdependent, and codependent. We are dependent as babies and in various degrees as we grow. In other words, we need others to be able to get what we want and need. Consider how an infant is dependent on adults to provide for their needs for food, shelter, and more. As we work toward becoming independent, we strive for self-mastery and maturity. Or in other words, we seek to become fully responsible for our choices and accountable for their results. Interdependence is combining our efforts with the efforts of others to achieve the highest good of all. When we are interdependent, we work together assertively, respecting our own feelings while respecting the feelings of others. This is not passive and not aggressive. It's important to recognize that independence and interdependence are not selfish. Self-care is a crucial part of renewing our own energy to bring the best we have to offer to the table in a cooperative, synergistic effort. It's important to note that we can take time to edify, nourish, and take care of our own mind, body, and spirit without it jeopardizing our ability to help and serve others. Selfishness is about the attitude and focus we have in serving ourselves in relation to others. Entirely self-focused effort while interacting with others is selfish. So let's discuss codependence again. Beth Gilbert, in an article for Everyday Health, says, quote, "If your mood, happiness, and identity is defined by another person, then you could be in a codependent relationship." The word codependency gets thrown around a lot. There are codependent couples, codependent companions, codependent caretakers. But what does codependent actually mean? And is it really all that bad? Codependency is typically discussed in the context of substance use, where one person is abusing the substance and he or she depends on the other person to supply money, food, or shelter. But codependency is much broader than that, says Jonathan Becker, DO, Assistant Professor of Clinical Psychiatry at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. Codependency can be defined as any relationship in which two people become so invested in each other that they can't function independently anymore, Dr. Becker says. Your mood, happiness, and identity are defined by the other person. In a codependent relationship, there is usually one person who is more passive and can't make decisions for themselves, and a more dominant personality who gets some reward and satisfaction from controlling the other person and making decisions about how they will live. Codependency becomes problematic when one person is taking advantage of the other financially or emotionally, Becker says, end quote. Do you see any codependent traits in yourself? Remember to listen to my podcast, Codependence, The Walking Wounded, Parts 1 and Part 3. Do you need help knowing what to do instead of following codependent patterns? Access the Revitalize Your Inner Worth, Get Out of the Sludge online course training to view at your own pace. Take a deeper dive into tips and tools and information that can help you make sense out of life. We put generational issues and addictive or abusive family patterns and more under the microscope for clarity of understanding. Our message is spreading across the globe. If you haven't already, please go now and join the Changemaker Chainbreaker phenomenon by joining the quest at familytreequest.com so we can stay connected. We are waiting for you. As today's changemaker, chainbreakers in our family lines, we are here to create positive change in spite of any disruptions or destructive patterns in our families of origin or in spite of what we may be having occur in our family right now. It is my firm conviction that each of us can ignite the light of extraordinary family purpose in ourselves and our families. We do it by igniting the light of our own personal power to influence others for good through making principle-centered choices in order to secure the home and stabilize society. Please check out my books, audiobooks, and courses that can help you strengthen your ability to live beyond codependence. This excerpt has been taken from the Revitalize Your Inner Worth, Get Out of the Sludge course. Break free and rise above destructive thought patterns, habit patterns, and family patterns so you can fill your highest priorities with full purpose of heart. Till next time, this is Carolyn Carlton.
Your ability to bounce back is possible, no matter your past. Carolyn will help you leave behind what's holding you back. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And to be sure to check out Carolyn's Renew You classes. You can find contact information, links to her social media, and more at familytreequest.com.